to mindful drawing. Do a shorter exercise this week, just exploring this practice of creativity and mindfulness merging together through our act of drawing. If anyone comes across this while you're browsing this morning, looking for something to engage with, all you need is pen or pencil and some kind of paper to draw with, and we can explore together. My day jobs are in architectural design and research and teaching. One thing I often think through is the sectional drawing of the detail of how materials come together. And so, in a little meditation on that, today I'd like to explore the connection of shapes as details, of sections linked by their surfaces, bridging the gaps between spaces, but with no real purpose or context, just an opening up of some space to draw and an exploration there. So I'll begin by just tracing some kind of shape that grabs onto something in space. Maybe a light, open sea type of shape. Perhaps with some fun angles. A strong horizontal here and there. Just wrapping around a bit of space. Filling up some area of the page. And then we can begin to use that to think through its thickening. Maybe we just offset it a little bit and follow along. We come to corners. If they're on the inside, they might get a little softer, a little rounded as the material bends. Or they can be sharp, maintaining the crisp, machined feel of it. This here becoming a bit of an extrusion, sliced through in space. And since this detail is only here to explore, we will draw from it, connecting along a surface, continuing with the language as some other piece here works into the space, similarly offsetting from that beginning and traveling around to give it thickness. You can begin to explore the variability of that thickness or maintain a consistency. Many materials tend to be that way. And maybe we can connect these two pieces here with something else that extends from one surface and wraps around, just bridges with a bit of an L, that common connector between things. Similar, perhaps, we give a little bit of thickening to corners for strength. And we can start adding on to this again by picking up an edge, extending out, choosing a new path or direction, and working our way out into space in that wrapping form. And if we're getting the hang of it a little bit, the thickening of material, touching other materials, these shapes, holding on to some space. We can then begin to go inward, connect some of this to our breathing, and use it as that entrance into mindful practice. So I'll begin taking a big breath in and just letting it lightly fall out as I sit here. Maybe explore a little bit of the position of my body. In through the nose, expanding, setting, finding my space. And out through the mouth, relaxing into that established territory. Now bringing that to the pen. A breath in, a location, and an out as we begin to move the pen or pencil. When the breath cycles, a new change in direction perhaps. Change in the language of the curvature. Breathing in to find position and take note. And breathing out to draw. The section can thicken or extend into space. In the sense of something in a detail, this might bring stiffening, a structure inside one surface, supporting another, connecting that analogy with our breath, following it inside to support our position in space, our movement and action here on the page. Breathing in to find position and out with action. Playing with what is given, sometimes the tracking of the shape, just a part of the moment. That connection with the breath, beginning to lead the pen or pencil on its own journey. And again, this is a detail with no purpose. A slice through something out there in space with no context except for the thickness between two lines, the occasional bridging strut for structural stiffness. And the incorporation of our breath in this act of practicing awareness. Where are you? Where is your interface here with the pen or pencil that you're using? Your awareness on the page. As shapes become more complex, we have to manage in our mind the over and the under, the inside and the outside as they wrap through space. And we may occasionally miscalculate in these inflections around a shape and always come back and work our way into them. Stiffening the corners just to provide a little more internal definition. Now, I find in my drawing this space of continuity emerging. Perhaps that's an opportunity for something to mirror it, to attach, but to start to play with the outer expression of the surface. Just letting the pen travel and wander. And then bringing it back in to track along that detail's edge. Exploring the parallels, the moving along and the moving away from as a material thickens, gathers. It may start to have connection. Something here may split at its joints. Moments of inflection and change in direction and opportunity to connect new layers of material. New layers of detail, changing size, scale of operation, zooming in to support the zooming out. And often with any kind of cut or slice or detail like this, we might explore the delineation, the separation of solid and void, or of thickness and space, just with a little parallel hatching. A wonderful place to focus again on our breath and our being here in space, our moments of action. As I breathe in and track at a consistent pace, I can begin to use these lines as breath counting mechanisms. 1, 2, 3, 4 on the in breath. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 on the out breath. Finding that rhythm for yourself. My first couple, an example tied to my own body's in and out breath. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The context, potentially stretching and causing our breath to adapt. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Maybe more happen. Finding a balance, your control of the breath, aligned with your control of the movement. Beginning just with a count. How long does the breath take in relationship to the number of lines you begin to produce in sequence? And I'm usually looking at roughly a 2-to-1 ratio to stabilize at, but that comes later on through the practice. And then in our architectural context or world, or the engineering world, the type of hatch, the directions relative to its neighbors, they all start to communicate or mean things. Here, without context, we can just play with its variability. For instance, a double, close line, a gap. denotes something different through the language of line. Intone a strong, tight, horizontal repetition brings contrast to its neighbors and extends parallel through long stretches. Vertical as well, wrapping a new direction, establishing clearer separations between materials that meet at that moment of interface, that edge, or reinforcing their similarity when they share direction. Many things becoming one thing. And as you let that attention to the act come to the forefront, the breathing shifts to the back, relaxed, steady, linked to our movement, to our place. We can let the eyes journey into that tiny, minute, close connection between pen and paper. And we find more steadiness or regularity with a bit more focus, perhaps a bit of slowing down. And for me, this new focusing in, this detailing of a moment in action with my mind often brings the tightness of attention. My breath shallows. I hold on to more, some tension in that attention builds. And can we keep our breath even if the counting helps? That can be a guide. But finding accuracy, repetition, and calm all in the same space, a part of our practice here. Now for a hatch to really communicate its connection with the material, that consistency of spacing, of motion, is very important. But here in our practice, we can bring attention to our engagement with that accuracy without a lot of time spent practicing the way of drawing this, the technique, the holding of the pen, even if you have done a lot of it, maybe with tools that support us. Here we find new struggles. And in this exercise, it's just an exploration, an opening up of our creativity and attention between the hand and the mind. We can recognize our wobbles, our impatience, our precision we may have, and just observe it as an outcome of our action, an exploration there on the page. I spend a few minutes with this strange bubbly area, just bringing a heaviness to the surface, a very close offset, something that brings thickness to the edge, a difference in material quality or expression, something between the precision of the machined line and the flow of something playful. I always like to spend a little bit of time discovering what emerged during the practice or the exercise, the things that were not present on the page, were not present in my thinking before the engagement, and wandering through them with the pen or the pencil to see what they might be, see what might inspire or urge there. Just to get to know a little bit of the space I've created here, to hold on to it for a tiny bit, to explore for myself drawing, to maybe experiment or play with the techniques instead of the mechanical nature of hard edges, looking at the softening up, the thickening of curves. Something here layered to the exterior, held by so much metal and mechanical precision to present outwardly soft, organic variability. What do you find as you explore this manifestation of technique, the meditation on a way of communicating something, the detail filling the page? You're a very flat territory, perhaps ready to extend out into the three-dimensional, taking a corner and pulling it with its neighbors parallel out through the space of the page, lines describing edges, this parallel extension back into space. Big part of the way we see potential 3D from the 2D. Well, who knows what's going on deep in that figure there, that surface, supported by layers and layers of surfaces. That's kind of fun in these practices. We just get a chance to explore our place, the space we can make for ourselves to have a little time of creativity, of relaxation, connection between our actions on the inside, the rhythms of our body, and our expression through actions to the outside. If you enjoy learning to draw through creativity, mindfulness, and an open, softer experience that's less focused on outcome and more on being in the moment, of really bringing your attention to where it can best serve your expression of creativity with a guide through some technique, but mostly stabilizing our awareness, finding presence in the moment, and using that to guide our expression. A long way to say, if you find these practices interesting, let me know below in the comments. Give it a thumbs up and come back each week as I try to get new ones up pretty much weekly. This summer's been more of a challenge to meet the Wednesday each time, but something always ends up there within about a week, and there are many practices going back over the last couple of years of doing this through Pratt's Mindful Pratt initiative to have these drop-ins on mindfulness that enter the space of heart, creativity, and awareness. So whatever you're doing today, I hope you have a good day and draw well. This is Rooks is Fun, signing off. Welcome to another session of Mindful Drawing.